Hi everybody, this is Panaki Kathiari, and in this video we're going to talk about setting up Resource Hero on a custom or standard objects. Uh, Now this is probably going to be a little bit more in depth than the other support videos, and it's going to be broken up into a few parts. So first we're going to just create a quick custom object. Uh, we're going to set up the VisualForce page and configure it to work with Resource Hero. Um, we're going to add matrices to the layouts, and then we're going to add the calculation and status control fields. All right. So yeah, basically, here's our Resource Hero on the Opportunities tab. So we see that there's a few Resource Hero components here. So there's Resource Hero calculation fields. There's the forecast matrix. There's the actuals matrix. Um, and there's some status fields that we use to control the resource forecasting and actuals, basically the resource assignment. And these charts, you can look at another video on how to add these charts onto the layout as well. So, all right, here we go. So first we're going to create a new object. I'm going to go into setup and create objects, new custom object. So let's say we're going to create an object called internal projects. So this is going to be internal project, plural label, internal projects. We'll say that, for instances of this demo, this is for like internal administrative type of work. Um, the record name is going to be internal project name. So each record will have its own name. We'll just allow reports, activities, and track field history, just so we have it. That part is totally up to you and your organization. We'll make it deployed, and again, we'll add notes and attachments related to it, and we'll create a new custom tab wizard so we could create a new tab. So I'll save this. So here's the object. We'll tab style. We'll select something cool here. Here's a desk called for internal projects, and we'll just hit next. Um, and we'll just make it available for all profiles for the purpose of this demo, and we'll allow all custom apps to have access to it, including Resource Hero. So, all right, here's the internal projects, and you see we have a tab here. Um, there's no internal project. Let's just start new. You know, internal project test number 1. Save. So we have an internal project name, test number 1, and there's some fields and some information. So again, now we're going to add the Resource Hero components to it. But first, um, we're going to set up the VisualForce page and configure Resource Hero to work on this. And that means we're going to not only create the VisualForce page, we're going to create the triggers, we're going to create a lookup field on the resource assignment, and we're going to create an entry in the Resource Hero assignment object translation. All right, so let's get into that. So first we'll create the VisualForce page. Let's go back into our setup and we're going to go to develop pages, and so we're going to create a new VisualForce page. Let's click on new. Okay, on the VisualForce page, the first thing we're going to do is add a label, and so let's decide on this matrix. So what we're going to do is this is going to be a forecast matrix uh, on the internal project. So we'll call it forecast internal projects. And as soon as I hit tab, you'll see that it automatically filled in the next field. But what we're going to do here is just add underscores between the words, because we're going to use this as part of the code in a second. If you don't use underscores, you could just remove the spaces as long as it's a continuous line. So again, just the idea here is this is the forecast matrix. So if you want to add additional matrices to the thing, um, to your layout, you're gonna kind of go through this creating a VisualForce page step a few times. So you could create a forecast matrix, you could create an actuals matrix, and I'll tell you a little bit more when we get into the code. So the next step is to add the code. And so if you're looking at this on YouTube, you could find the code in the comments section. If you're looking at it uh, on the Resource Hero app support section, you'll find it right below the video. But I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the code here, just like that. So there are a few variables in this code that we have to fill in. So first, the standard controller must equal the custom object's API name. So let's go ahead and get the API name of the custom object. So I'm just going to show you where we could find everything as well. So let's go to our custom object. So I'm going to open this in a new tab. Right? So here's my custom object. Here's my internal project where I'm adding it to. And here's the API name right here. So I'm going to just select this. I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to go back to my code here. And I'm just going to paste it in. Right? The idea is Resource Hero page, Resource Hero app matrix, actual or forecast. So this piece of code uh, designates this VisualForce page as a forecast matrix or an actual matrix. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to make a forecast matrix. Like I was saying earlier, if you want to create an actual matrix, you're going to kind of follow the steps again and then do an actual matrix type of thing. So, each matrices will have its own VisualForce page. And you could create a total of 4. So you could create a forecast matrix, an actuals matrix, right? And I removed, if you notice, the brackets here too. So just make sure it's just forecast. And you could also force it to be read-only or not. So just to give you a quick sense of what that looks like, it's going to open the opportunity. Let's just go back to our opportunity in a new tab and go to our sample. So here we have two matrices, a forecast matrix and an actuals matrix, right? The forecast matrix is writable, so I could come in here and type in here and it's fine. The actuals matrix you see is force read. That means that it's locked. Let me see if as I type here, nothing shows up. So back to our code. So you could have 4 types of matrix. You have a forecast, force read only true. You could have a forecast, force read only false. You could have an actual true or an actual false. Hopefully that made sense. So force read only, we're going to make this false because we want this to be writable. We want people to be able to type into this forecast matrix. And again, you notice I removed the brackets. And the next variable is this page name. And that's one right here. So I'm just going to select all there. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to pop it into the page name. So forecast internal projects. Right? As I scroll horizontally, the next variable we have is default view by. So let's go back. Let me just show you what this means. Back into our matrices, we have a week view and we also have a day view. Oop. Well, I'm just going to say OK. It's giving me that error because I didn't save the matrix. But the day view breaks it down into a day-by-day view. And the week view, just to show it again, breaks it down on a week-by-week view. Right? So back to our VisualForce page, let's make this one a day view. So I'm just going to put in day, remove the brackets, and there we go. And that's pretty much our code. I'm going to hit save. If I did everything all right, everything will go through. Perfect. Right? So that's creating our the VisualForce page. And like I said, so if you want to create like an actuals matrix, you go back to pages, and create a new one. You could also clone this and just change some of the variables around and do things like that. All right. So the next step we're going to get into is creating triggers. Now, this is going to be for enterprise editions and up. And what this helps with is to be able to do things like control matrices and control things by workflow and triggers. So if you're not on Enterprise Edition, you could fast forward a little bit, uh, but if you are, it's a good idea to create these triggers. So first thing to do in creating the triggers, we're going to go to our custom object. So we're going to go to create objects, and here's our internal project. And then we're going to scroll down to our triggers area. So we're going to click on new, and here we have our trigger code. So again, we supply this code. If you're looking on YouTube, you'll see the code below, and if you're looking on the website Resource Hero app, you'll also find the code underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the code. Bring it over here. I'm going to select all, just paste it all here. So, the triggered name should be what this trigger should be named as and referenced to in the future. So you could, call it, however you like it. Let's call it internal project trigger, and the object API name should be replaced by the name of the object that Resource Hero is being added to. So again, let's go to our custom object. So we could just show you how to do that. Create objects. I'm going to open it in a new tab. We'll click on internal project, and here is the API name. I'm going to hit copy. We're going to go back here, and we're going to pop in the object API name. And it's a real simple step. That's all you have to do. We click save, and the trigger has been created. All right, so simple step. Now back to what everyone can do with Resource Hero. The next step is to create a lookup field on the resource assignment object. So what this does is it'll connect it'll create a lookup field for Resource Hero assignments to the object that we just created. So let's see, just so you know, here's our internal project object. I'll leave that there, and we're going to go to create objects, and we're going to find the resource assignments object. So we're going to click this. So we're in this is our managed resource assignment object. It comes with Resource Hero when you install it. And we're going to scroll down to this custom fields and relationships area, and we're going to click on new. Right? This is going to be a lookup relationship. So when we're choosing the field type, lookup relationship, hit next, and it's going to ask what other object is this related to. We're going to make it sure it's related to internal project. So there you go. Next. And so we're going to give it a field name, and we'll do the same thing. We'll do the internal project, internal underscore project. I like to do that because we're going to again reference this later on, and it's going to create a relationship with resource assignments. What to do if the lookup record is deleted? You could clear the value, or you could not allow deletion. You could choose either or. I'll stick with clear the value, and I'm going to hit next. And it starts to ask the field level security. So for purposes of this, I'm going to make sure pretty much everyone has access to it. and then it says, should I add this field to the resource assignment layout? We're just gonna keep that on yes, and then we'll hit next. And then should I add it to the internal project layout? We'll just say yes, sure, and we'll do save. This will be the last step here, and now it's been created. Where are we? Internal projects. Look up internal projects. Right. All right. So the next step is going to be to create the RHA object translation entry. Here, what we're going to do is just make sure that Resource Hero can translate all the information back and forth between the new custom object that we created, internal projects, with Resource Hero. So let's go to our area to do that. So we're going to go into Develop, Custom Settings. And here we have our area for RHA object translation. We're going to click on Manage. And you see we already have object translation for Opportunity. But what we're going to do is click on New, because we're going to create a new one for this new object. So on the object translation edit page, we're going to fill out a few fields here, and I'll show you where we could get I'll tell you what each field does and where we could get the information. So the first name field is going to be the API name of the resource assignment lookup field that we just created. So I'm going to show you where to find that. Let's go back to Create Objects, and I'm going to open the link in a new tab. Right. I'm just going to bring this over right here. So right here, resource assignment, and here we go. We just created the lookup field right here, and this is the API name of the lookup field. So internal project, internal underscore project underscore underscore C. I'm going to copy that, go back to my page. I'm going to paste that in here. The name field is the name of the object that you want to identify the relationship with, or the name field of the object that you want to identify the relationship with. So let's just go back to our custom object. I'm going to open this in a new tab too, just to kind of show you what I mean. I'm just going to bring this one over here. So we created a test number 1, and see, so internal project name. So by default, Resource Hero will use this as the internal project name. So, for the purposes of Resource Hero and filling out the name field, we don't have to fill this out. We could leave this blank. But the reason we have it here is just for simple purposes. Like, for example, if you were adding Resource Hero to, say, the case object, and let's just hit New, and let's just kind of put something down here just to create a new piece, right? So you notice there's only like case number here. There's no name field for this case. So in the scenario, if you were adding it to case, for example, then you'd actually take this case number and put it into the field here. But for our purposes, we could leave our area blank, because because Resource Hero again will use the internal projects name as the default. This guy right here, right? The next piece is the namespace, and this comes into effect if you're adding Resource Hero to a managed package. You will have to put in a namespace for this. So let me just give you an example of what a namespace is. So you could find that, again, let's go into Objects. Let's open it up in a new tab right here. So resource hero app. So if you're adding, for example, you wouldn't do this, but if you're adding it to one of the resource hero pieces, here's the namespace prefix right there. So, depending on the app that you're adding to, especially if it's a managed app, it will have a namespace prefix. And that's what you would be inputting into here. Since we're adding it to a custom object, doesn't have a namespace, we could leave it blank. Finally, the object name. So for custom objects, the object name should be equal to the object name of the object that we're adding it to. So let's just take a quick look at that. So we're going to go into objects again. Oh wait, let's go back. We're going to go to, sorry about that. We're going to go into objects again and open it in a new tab. Right, and here we are. We're going to the internal projects. And here's the object name we want to do. But we want to do one thing too. We want to actually use the object name, and we want to make sure that we add underscore underscore C to the object name here. That's important. And but for that's what we have to do for any custom objects. But if we're entering it for standard objects, all you need is the API name of the standard object. And that's pretty much it as far as the object translation screen. I'm going to hit save, and now it's set. So the next step is we want to make sure all of this works, and let's add the forecast matrix to our internal projects and make sure all is well. So next thing, we're going to go into create objects, internal project, and you scroll down on this page, you'll see page layouts, and I'm going to click on edit there. And this is very similar to how we created it or added to opportunities. But so first we'll add a section on the page. We'll put it right there. And let's call it resource hero forecast matrix. It's going to be one column, and we hit OK. And then right here, we're going to scroll down to get to VisualForce pages, and you see now the forecast internal projects VisualForce page is there. So we're going to grab that. We're just going to click and drag it on to the layout here. And we recommend, you could set this to how you like, but we recommend setting the height in to about 350. That seems to be a nice average height for everyone. And we'll click on OK. I'm going to click on save. And now we've added it. So let's go to our internal projects object, our test number 1, and just make sure this works. So here's the matrix just loaded. There are no resources assigned. Let's add some resources. Add new resource. Let's go and add Olivia, rate of 100, role of designer, save. And it's there. And remember, we set this up to default on the day view, and it defaults on the current month that we're in. And let's see, I could forecast her for 8 hours this day. And I'm going to save the forecast and make sure everything works. Really good. Just to check on the other side to test everything out. Let's go on the resources side, look at Olivia. You see in her time tracking matrix, this test number 1 is now here. So she has both the opportunity and she has the internal projects in here. Excellent. So let's go back to our internal projects. And the last few steps we're going to do is we're going to add the resource hero calculation fields and the resource hero status fields. All right, so let's go and add the calculation fields. So basically the calculation fields are fields that we're going to add onto the object, and then we're going to add it onto the layout, right? So first, we're going to go in to look at the object. So let's do that. Let's go to Setup here. Let's go to Create, Objects, and then our internal project object. And here we have the Custom Fields and Relationships area. And we're going to add essentially 7 fields. And I created this table to help do this. Uh, you're going to find a link to this table either in the comment section of the YouTube video or right on the support post. And these are our main fields here: total actual amount, total actual hours, total forecast amount, total forecast hours, remaining forecast amount, remaining forecast hours, and the blended rate. Right, so these are 7 fields, and let's just go ahead and show you how to add them in here. So we're going to go scroll down to this custom fields and relationships, and we're going to click on new, right? So I'm just going to add 2 of them. Let's go with the forecast stuff. So let's first add the resource RH total forecast hours. So this is a field type of number. So we're going to go in here, select number, hit next, right? Field label, I can just copy right from here. So RH total forecast hours, right? And you can name this whatever you actually like. In fact, we added RH before everything so we don't overwrite stuff. But this could be just total forecast hours. And the field name should be RH underscore total underscore hours. This is important. So you'll notice that the field name down here, it basically automatically got populated. So let's make sure we copy the right thing in there. And the length could be 16 with 2 decimal places. This is a number. 16, 2. Right? And that's it. Hit next. It's going to ask us which profiles and field level securities have access to this. I'm just going to go with the default. And then it's going to ask me whether I want to add it to my page layout. And I'll just hit, I'm just going to turn that off for right now, just so I could show you in a little bit how to do that. And I'm going to hit save. So here I just want to like point out, if I just kind of put these both side by side. So RH total forecast hours is the field label. The API name here shows up automatically, RH total hours. It's basically auto-generated based on the field name, but you just want to make sure that it's correct. The data type is a number with 16 length and 2 decimal places. Let's add a few more. We're going to add the amount, the total for actual. Now let's add the total forecast amount, and then we'll add the. Let's do the total actual hours, and then let's do the remaining forecast hours, just to show you what a formula looks like. All right, so let's do the total actual hours. I'm going to hit new. This is again another one of a number type. And we're going to hit next. All right. Let's go back to my total actual hours. So I'm going to basically copy this, paste it in here. I'm going to set the length to 16 and decimal places to 2. The field name has been automatically added, and that's the total actual hours here. Just copy it in to be on the safe side. Right? And then I'm going to hit next. I just add it to all the default profiles and security. I won't add it here just yet. I'm just going to hit save and new so we could get on to the next one real quick. So the next one we're going to do is the remaining forecast hours, which is basically the difference between the forecast hours and the actual hours. So, and this is a formula. That's why it's a little bit different. So on this screen, we're going to add formula, next. And so the field label here is going to be RH remaining forecast hours, right? And select the field name is going to auto populate, and I'll just basically copy this one in here. Perfect. So not only is this a formula, but it's also going to be a number. So we're going to check number here, and we're going to have 2 decimal places. We'll hit next. And then this is where it's going to ask me for the actual formula, which conveniently you could copy and paste right from here. This is the formula field column. Boom. You could check the syntax real quick, but it will work out. There's a syntax error. Interesting. I think. Aha. No syntax errors. Funny things happen when you copy and paste uh, from different areas. So it wasn't picking this up as a minus sign. So that's one of the things we'll look out for. We'll make sure that we try to fix that as much as we can in our documentation. When copying and pasting formulas, just look out for the operators and quotes and things like that when copying and pasting. So let's hit the next. All right, here's the, we'll add it to the default field level security. And we won't add it onto the page layout yet. I'm just going to hit save. All right, so you see we've added our 3 fields, and you're going to go ahead and continue this for all of the fields. I'm going to show you how to add it onto the layout now. So let's go to the page layouts, just right at the bottom, and we're going to hit edit. And let's create a section of the page called Resource Hero Calculations. Make it 2 columns. We'll add it there. And then you'll see that the fields are right here now. So let's say total forecast hours. I could just drag it and put it on here. Total actual hours, and then remaining forecast hours. Let's just hit save. Right? Now we've saved. Let's just test it out. Make sure it's working. So let's go to our opportunities. I'm sorry. Oops. Let's go to internal projects. Test number 1. And here we have it. So the total forecast hours has not been updated. Let's just kind of start from scratch. I'm going to manage assignments. I'm going to delete this test information. I'm going to create another one. Let's go Olivia. We'll just put that back in 100. And she's a designer. Save. Right, she's back in. So let's do 4, 5, and 6. Save. And here we go. 4 plus 4, 5, and 6 equals 15. That's correct. And the total actual hours is 0, while the remaining forecast hours is 15. Let's just go and track some time real quick and come back and make sure that the actual hours works out. So let's go to Olivia. We'll track some hours to this project. Put 5, 6. Save it. Alright, so she's tracked some time to test number 1. Let's go back to test number 1 and right on. So, yep, forecast hours were 15, actual hours was 11, 5, and 6, and then the forecast hours is 4. And yep, there we've added a few of the resource hero calculations, and basically you want to just go ahead and add the rest of them, and all work out. And then next step we'll be talking about adding the resource hero status fields. All right. So for resource hero status fields will work the same way. So there's gonna be another table like this. I'll just bring it right on here just to show you real quick. And this basically just has 4 checkboxes, which are fields. So we have the archive resource assignments, exclude from utilization coloring, exclude from resources tab, and make read only. So let's go through the steps of adding all of these onto the page. So let's go back to our setup. We're going to customize. We're going to create objects, internal project, and let's add a few. So let's go to new here. I'm going to toggle back and forth. So the first one we're going to add is the archive resource assignment. So they're all checkboxes. So let's go checkbox, next, and let's give it the field label. All of these are going to be unchecked as well, and we'll give it the field name. Set it up. I'm just gonna hit next. Next, we'll add it manually to the layout ourselves. We're just gonna do save and new. So we're gonna add the second one. It's a checkbox. Let's go add exclude from utilization coloring. Unchecked. Exclude from utilization coloring. Next. Next. Let's take it off for right now. Save and new. We're going to add exclude on resources tab. So checkbox. Next. Copy this guy. Paste. Copy this guy. Paste. Next. Next. Move it. Save and new. And we'll add our final one, make read only. Checkbox. Next. Make read only. Next. Next. And we'll hit save this time. So here we have all 4 of them are now here, and we'll add it ourselves to the page layout. So we can hit edit. Similarly, let's add a section. We'll call it resource hero status. Okay, so you see they're all here. So let's put the archive, exclude from utilization coloring, exclude on resources tab, make read only, and we'll hit save. And let's just go in and test that out. So let's go to internal projects, our test number 1. So here we have our pieces. So let's just go from the bottom up. So make read only, save that. You see we have a lock here. Right? We'll uncheck this one. We'll check this one. Exclude on resources tab. Save that. Right? And let's just go to Olivia White and just make sure that now that test 1 should not be in her matrix. So it works. Let's go back to internal projects. And exclude from utilization coloring. So we'll check this, save. And you'll notice now there's no coloring here, so it's basically not including this information in any of the coloring in any object that Olivia has been assigned to. Right, so uncheck that, and let's just check now. This one is a trigger-based one, so checking this will be like checking all three of them. So let's hit save, and it works. All are added in. It's locked. Utilization coloring, and one final check on the resources for Olivia. It's not here. Right. So there we go. Our statuses are checked. So we've added calculations, we've added the statuses, and we've added the matrices onto a custom object. And that's essentially how you add Resource Hero onto a custom object. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, run into any problems, don't hesitate to contact us. Learn more on resourceheroapp.com/support. Thank you.